and I thought I'd sit down now and chat to you about some spring recommendations. I have some delightful ideas for books, music, movies, and also activities that you can try this spring. So let's get into the books. So the first book I have to recommend for you is called The Agency for Scandal by Laura Wood. This story is set in the Regency era about a woman called Isabel Stanhope who becomes involved with the all-woman detective agency called the Aviary. As you know, in history, there was a lot of arranged marriages and women became the property of their husbands. And as such, were often not treated very well or very fairly. And it's the Aviary's job to help women to become more independent and to basically be able to help them to have the kind of lives that they wish to live rather than the lives that they need to live under the rule of their husbands. She reminds me of Enola Holmes with that kind of independent streak. She helps the Aviary to uncover and to resolve a massive mystery, all involving a duke that she happens to be in love with. This story is so good. I listened to the audiobook and it was read by Harry Dobby, who is now my absolute favorite voice narrator. So if you have not read this book, you have to read it. And if you have read the book, you have to listen to the audiobook. It's absolutely delightful and an excellent story, full of romance, full of adventure, full of girl power. I'm absolutely loving it. And I will say that this book is a sweet romance, so there is no spicy bits. So if spicy bits are not your thing, this is a story for you. To be perfectly honest with you, the story doesn't need spicy bits. I've got to say, it is a young adult novel. It does not need the spicy bits. It is such a good story. Think along the lines of Enola Holmes, and if that's your bag, you will love this book. So I thought it would be a really fun idea to pair the books that I'm recommending to you this season with tea and treats that are appropriate for that book. And the tea that I think would be most suitable for this book is a really strong Yorkshire tea. You know, that really kind of like builder's tea, a strong Yorkshire tea that would be perfect for this book because the women are strong characters. They're completely feminine, completely ladylike, but also extremely dangerous. And I think a really good strong Yorkshire tea would be excellent for this book, along with something lemony, something tart, something like a lemon tart, or maybe something very citrusy and a little bit zingy. That would be perfect for this story. So I apologize for that lighting, guys. The sun is going down, or it's going towards the horizon, and it was just making terrible shadows in here. So the next two books I want to recommend to you are by Annie Darling, and they are the first two books in the Lonely Hearts bookshop series. Now, I absolutely fell in love with these two stories. I heard them on audiobooks. I've been listening to audiobooks through an app called Libby, which is attached to my library card. First book is about a girl called Posy who's been working at the same bookshop for many years. The bookshop was owned by somebody called Lavinia. Now, Lavinia was a really, really eccentric, interesting older lady who then passed, and Posy inherited the bookshop. Unfortunately, the bookshop has been failing for some time, but Lavinia had sufficient funds to keep the bookshop going and hired a motley crew to run this bookshop, but something needs to be done or the bookshop is going to have to close. And the problem is that Posy, bless her, she's the kind of person who just doesn't have a clue. And she has to get a clue in order to get this bookshop back to being a thriving business. And she comes up with the idea of turning this bookshop, this old, eccentric, sort of rundown bookshop, and turning it into London's first and only romance-only bookshop. And with the help of some of the other people that work at the shop with her, who are like family to her, she turns this bookshop around. And what she has to go through to turn this bookshop around, unfortunately, there is also a love interest who is opposed to her and opposed to the idea of getting the bookshop off the ground, because The love interest is Lavinia's relative, and things get quite heated between the two of them because both of them want the bookshop for a different reason. She wants to turn it into a bookshop only for romance. He doesn't know whether he wants to get the property demolished completely and totally because they are in a partnership of sorts because of the will, under the terms of the will. It is such a good story and I absolutely adored it. It is really embarrassing in some parts. I think Bridget Jones's Diary, like, oh my God, what are you doing, woman? That kind of embarrassment, but so good. The story is excellent. I really enjoyed the entire story, the entire series. I listened to it on an audiobook. Highly recommended as well, the audiobook. And I think that if you like a sort of a rom-com and if you like a bookshop scenario, then this is definitely going to be for you. The second book in the series is about one of the shop assistants called Nina. Now, Nina is your vintage vixen. She is completely and totally, think Betty Page, you know, she's just completely and totally, she's sexy, she's girly, she's sassy, she's got tattoos, and she is looking for the man of her dreams. She has been on a mission to find the man of her dreams. Unfortunately, the man of her dreams happens to be a Heathcliff kind. A Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights, that is her perfect man. And she's been looking for him in all the wrong places and finding the most dreadful dates ever, but she's determined to find a passionate romance. And instead, she meets somebody who is an absolute antithesis of Heathcliff. And, well, I don't want to ruin it for you, but it turns out to be one of the best romances I've ever read. I enjoy these characters immensely, and I was rooting for them right from the beginning. So if vintage vixens, bookshops, geeky, really good-looking business analysts are your bag, sounds weird, but believe me, it's a good match. And with intrigue and hidden secrets and past histories are your thing, this is the book for you. Honestly, I enjoyed this book so much. I didn't want it to end and I was gutted that it had to end, but you will meet some of the other characters, like Posey from the previous book as well. She's also in it. It feels like a kind of a family series, and it kind of reminds me of a kind of a Friends scenario, you know, the Friends TV show. They're all just such good friends, and they bicker and they fight, and they absolutely all love each other. And I just can't wait to read. You're really going to adore this series. So the tea that I want to pair with this series definitely has to be an English breakfast tea. We're talking Twinings English breakfast tea, and I'm going to say a Victoria sponge. Something comforting, light, summer days, maybe with some strawberries on the side. That is the kind of vibe that I get with these books, and an English breakfast tea with a Victoria sponge is perfect. The next book I want to recommend to you is The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels by India Holton. This book is... This book is just so different from what I've read before. So think about like Victorian ladies, very prim, very proper Victorian ladies who are actually assassins and thieves. But we don't call it something as absolutely dreadful as assassins. They're more lady scoundrels. And we don't steal things, we acquire things. It is so cleverly done. The story, just the setting, the houses, there's a magical thing about the houses. I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's so good. All of these ladies are deadly. They are absolutely armed and dangerous, but so genteel and so proper. And one never loses one's composure. One never goes out into the deadly peril, the sun, without an umbrella, without a parasol. It's all so proper and so, oh my goodness. Think Bridgerton, but think all of the ladies are high society, but completely and totally villains, and I love it. It's so clever. It's so well done, and I can't recommend this book enough. I really enjoyed it because it was something so different. The idea was so different. And I think the kind of tea that I would pair this book with has to be Lady Grey tea. Or Earl Grey, because I think Earl Grey's got a nice floral flavour to it. And then with something like macarons, or maybe, oh no, fondant fancies. Fondant fancies would be the perfect accompaniment to this book. They're little, but they're Moorish, and I think they're just genteel enough to, to go along with this story. And I think you'll really enjoy this one. I'm going to break away for a moment to talk to you about today's sponsor, Dermatica. Dermatica is a personalised skincare subscription with a unique formula tailored to your individual skincare needs and delivered directly to your door. In 2019, after a holiday to Florida, I noticed melasma, which is essentially hyperpigmentation caused by sun damage on my skin, and no matter what I tried, I could not remove it. I was delighted when Dermatica wanted to work with me because their science-backed formulas are specifically created by dermatologists to help to target skin conditions such as acne, rosacea, signs of aging, and melasma, and I'm already seeing results after 3 weeks. Within 8 weeks, my skin will be brighter with reduced melasma and an overall glow, and I cannot wait. Their formulas are also vegan and cruelty-free. Use my discount code SEASONALLEO below for your first personalised skincare treatment for £2.90 and 10% off your second month. So let's move on to movies. The first movie that I need to recommend to you for spring is Miss Potter. Miss Potter is the story of Beatrix Potter, who, as you know, wrote all of the Peter Rabbit stories, and she is known and loved the world over. And this story is about how she became a published author, and it takes you through her creative process and how the stories evolved and how she became who she was. Guys, costumes, Renee Zellweger. I can never say her surname. Renee Zellweger. I'll put the name down here because I cannot say it to save my soul. We're talking Ewan McGregor. This movie was just the English countryside. It was just so English and so whimsical. That is the theme of all the stories and all the films and all the music and the activities that I have for you this season. If you like a really whimsical story, a story about passion and a story about imagination, then you will love Miss Potter. The next movie I want to recommend to you is Mary Poppins Returns. Now, we are huge Mary Poppins fans in this house, and I absolutely adore Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins in Mary Poppins Returns, which is the sequel to the first movie called Mary Poppins. So the first movie is about Jane and Michael Banks, who are in need of a nanny. And their family is having some issues. Now, if you've not seen Mary Poppins number 1, you don't have to watch it to know what's going on in number 2, but I would recommend it. Number 2 basically follows Jane and Michael Banks as they're adults and their families. And in particular, Michael's wife has passed away, leaving him with 3 children, and he is in danger of losing the family home that they grew up in. And basically, he's desperately in need of a nanny. His wife has passed away. He has to go to work. And, well, Mary Poppins returns, as the movie says. And the story is sublime. It has all of the magic of the first Mary Poppins film, but more, but better. It is just it's the fantasy film of my dreams. It's a musical. It's a family drama. It's whimsical, and it's just absolutely, it's everything. I absolutely adored it. The movie stars Emily Blunt and Lin-Manuel Miranda. The music is by Lin-Manuel Miranda. The songs are as good as the original movie, Mary Poppins. Maybe better. Don't come for me, but maybe better. And I loved every single thing about this film. It's everything. The aesthetics, the spring aesthetics, the storyline, the characters, the everything. You have to watch it. It is amazing, and it is such an enjoyable watch. Let's talk about music. So I have been absolutely loving the Studio Ghibli soundtracks, and they were all written and composed by a Japanese composer called Joe Hisaishi. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm really sorry if I'm not. But I'll leave some playlists down below where you can listen to some of the soundtracks from the films, from the Studio Ghibli films. Now, I am a huge fan of soundtracks for films, and I absolutely love soundtracks, and I adore the soundtracks from the Studio Ghibli films. I would love to see Joe Hisaishi in concert, so that is on my bucket list, and I'll leave some of the playlists down below where you can listen to some of the music. It's just uplifting, and it feels whimsical, which I absolutely adore. The second recommendation for music for spring is the soundtrack to Emma, the latest version. I believe it's the 2020 version or the 2021 version. But anyway, listen to that one. The music is delightful. It really, really is delightful. It's whimsical, and it's really uplifting, which I really enjoy. And the third recommendation for music is to listen to some older classical music. We're talking composers like Mozart, whose music has always felt very inspiring to me and very whimsical to me. But then we've also got composers like Boccherini, Schubert, Debussy. All those composers, I really, really love their music because it feels inspiring. It doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't feel... None of those composers to me have a sort of a melancholic feel to them. And I love to have their music playing in the background. I will leave some playlists down below for you to have a look at, and leave a playlist down below. Sorry, I'll leave a list down below of all the books and the recommendations that I've had today for movies and music as well. Let's move on to activities. The first activity that I'm going to suggest that you try this spring is to pair books, movies, audiobooks, things like that with different kinds of teas. So basically it's about exploring different kinds of teas and seeing what you really like, and then kind of using those teas to enhance your mood, to enhance your day, to go with certain times of the day, to go with certain books, and just really enjoying trying a new selection of teas and basically going out of your comfort zone. I mean, I think we all we like our PG tips or we like our English breakfast tea, but we don't kind of try different teas because, what if we don't like it? What you could do is get together with a few friends and kind of, swap some. Your friend gets one box of tea that you've not tried and you get something that she's not tried, and then you kind of swap half the tea bags and see if you enjoy them, or get together with a group of friends and kind of talk about the tea, see what you felt about them, if you liked them, if you didn't. Somebody might like something that you didn't necessarily. You can swap and give them the rest of the tea that you don't like. It's just a lovely opportunity to try some new things and to maybe broaden your horizons a little bit. The second activity that I recommend you try this spring is drawing, painting, or colouring outdoors. It is beautiful out there. The sun is shining most days. Well, some days. In England, we've had a lot of rain. But get yourself a picnic blanket and go outside with some watercolours and paint. Paint something pretty. Draw some flowers or colour in listening to an audiobook. Take some tea. It sounds like an absolutely silly thing to do. Why would you draw out of doors? Why wouldn't you is what I'm asking. Absolutely, you must try it. Enjoy it. Go outside, get outdoors and be creative. It's good for the soul. The third item that I have on the list that I think is a really good activity for spring is having a spring picnic or spring tea party picnic. Get your girlfriends together, put on pretty dresses. All of you take blankets, go out into the park or somewhere really pretty, take your books or, take your painting supplies, take your drawing supplies and go out and have a lovely, time outdoors with some girlfriends, just engaging in a really, really English pastime. It's nothing more English than a picnic. Go to Box Hill like they do in Emma and just enjoy the outdoors with some good food, some dainty sandwiches and little scones or some fondant fancies and some tea in a flask. Or you know what? Bring the hot water in a flask and bring a teapot and have a lovely time out of doors in a very, very spring way. And the next one is to get out of your comfort zone and try some new seasonal recipes. Try some new seasonal produce or seasonal meats that you wouldn't necessarily try. Go to a farm shop and see what they have in season and try some new recipes. I think we all get stuck in a rut of cooking the same things or eating the same things for lunch every day or having the same kinds of dinners week in and week out. Get out of your comfort zone a bit. Try things that you haven't necessarily tried before. You know, things like maybe rhubarb or asparagus. Those are in season at the moment. What can you do with them? How can you try them in different ways? If you've not tried them, you know, if you've tried them before and you didn't think you liked them, but that was many years ago, see if you like them now. Your taste may have changed. You may not like them boiled. You may like them roasted or pan-fried, or try different things. Spring is an excellent opportunity to try new things, to be inspired, to feel more just overall passionate about life. The sun is out, the flowers are growing, the birds are singing their little hearts out, and it's the perfect opportunity for you to try new things. Thank you so much for watching today, friends. And until next time, keep calm and be cozy.